So this story happened a while ago when I was a freshman in high school. And for context, I was a 14-year-old female at the time. It was a Friday night, and my good friend Mary had invited me over to her place for a sleepover. We were pranksters back then and loved to mess with people. We would call people from a block number and say we were watching you, turn around, and stupid stuff like that. Well, it was getting late that night. Mary's parents were asleep upstairs, and we were down in the living room. It was around midnight, and we decided that we were going to prank call her neighbor. He was an old man who lives by himself. No kids, no pets, nothing. We called from my cell phone and listened to it ring. When he picked up, he said hello in a sleepy, tired voice. We fought back our stupid giggles and said that we see you, old man. You only have a few years left to live. And yes, I know that it was wrong and immature of me to do this. I feel like a complete asshole doing this to people now that I look back on it, but at the time, I literally thought this was the best thing ever. Well, the old man stayed quiet on the other line. He stayed so quiet that we thought he had hung up and we lost the connection. But then he responded. He said, "Mary, I know this is you. I'm coming over there to punish you." Mary and I both looked at each other frightened and hung up the phone. We'd used a fake number generator so we couldn't be tracked, but we were baffled that he knew it was us. A little freaked out, we started looking out the first floor windows to see if her neighbor really was going to come over. Her old neighbor lived 2 houses down, and his house was completely dark. After a few minutes passed, we figured that we were in the clear, but we were wrong. We started to get really sleepy and decided that it was time to go upstairs and go to bed. We had to walk by the front door to get to the stairs. As we were passing the front door, there was this loud bang. Both of us jumped back and screamed. We looked at the door, and sticking partially through it on our end was this massive blade. We looked outside the windows to see if anyone was out there, and nobody was. Mary's parents woke up and came running downstairs from our screams and the bang. Her dad slowly opened the front door. There was this huge axe impaled into the door, and there was a note hanging from the handle of the axe. He brought it inside and we read it. The note said, "Next time, this'll be your head." Her parents asked who did this and what was going on. We both played dumb and said that we have no idea. Mary even told me days after that night, she would see her old neighbor watching her closely from his front window as she would walk home from school. Mary and I ended up stopping all the prank phone calls. It was really a wake-up call for me that it was possible to push people too far. And to this day, Mary's parents don't know that it was us who provoked the old man to impale a rusty axe through the front door by prank phone calling him. Again, I know that we were assholes, and we definitely learned our lesson. So, back in 2021, me and my friend Nicole were having a sleepover. Nicole had come over to my house because my parents were away at our cabin house for their anniversary, and I didn't want to be home alone. When Nicole got to my place, we honestly just chilled around the house, played Nintendo Switch, and ordered pizza. A pretty normal sleepover for the most part. When it started to get dark outside, that's when Nicole got this text message. It was a weird number that had symbols and letters in it, just like most spam or scam messages that you might get. But when she read the message, she asked me to read it too. It said, "You two girls look so pretty playing that Nintendo." We instantly thought that it was a joke or a prank that one of our friends were playing on us. We started texting everyone that we knew and asked them if they had sent the message, but every single one of them said no, they didn't send it. I was inclined to believe them all because, again, the number that texted us was with weird symbols and letters. We decided not to answer, even though it was pretty creepy that whoever texted it knew what we were doing. Well, maybe an hour after Nicole got that first text, she got another one. But this one was much more disturbing. She opened the text and we both looked at it. It said, "I'm upstairs in your friend's parents' bedroom." This was when we started to freak the hell out. At this point, it was like 11 at night. It was pitch black outside and we were all alone in my house. We tried our best to stay calm and silent, to listen and see if we could hear any movements from upstairs. We stayed quiet for like 10 minutes long and couldn't hear a single noise. We both grabbed knives from the kitchen and decided that we would go upstairs and check it out. When we got to my parents' bedroom, we slowly opened the door. We turned on all the lights and started looking all around the room. There was no one in there. But that's when we saw the footprints. There were these muddy footprints that were at the base of my parents' window, which was open. I went to the window to close it, but that's when I looked outside. My parents' bedroom faces our backyard. As I was shutting the window, that's when I noticed this man standing in our backyard. He had on a black hoodie and black sweatpants, but I couldn't see his face. I literally screamed my head off. Nicole came over to me and saw the man too. We both ran downstairs and out the front door. We ran to my next door neighbor's house, the Kellys. We were banging on their door to please let us in. They eventually opened up and let us in. We explained the texts, the footprints in my parents' bedroom, and the man in our backyard. Mr. Kelly kept us pretty calm and then called the police. They did a full sweep of the inside of our house and our backyard and surrounding backyards. After about an hour of searching for the guy, they ended up finding nobody. My parents were called and they ended up coming home sooner from their anniversary. It was a total nightmare. I still live with my parents, but I refuse to ever stay home alone by myself again. And by the way, my parents' bedroom is 2 stories high. There's no trees or anything for anybody to climb up to get there. So I literally have no clue how that man got into our house or how he got Nicole's number. I'm just thankful that nothing like this has happened since. Back when I was like 10 or 11, I was sleeping over my cousin Matt's house. Matt's house was always a fun place to visit because he lived in the woods and had this huge backyard that you could literally play on for hours. Well, it was getting late. We were up in Matt's room watching some show that I can't quite remember when Matt asked if I wanted to see something cool. And for a reference, Matt was 2 years older than me and I always looked up to him like a big brother. So when he asked this, I of course said yes. He said there's a homeless man who lives in the woods and that we can go and see him. Even at 10 years old, this sounded like a scary and just crazy idea, but again, he was my older cousin and I didn't want to seem like a baby. So I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. We made sure Matt's parents were sound asleep before we finally snuck out the back door. I remember that it was really dark outside. Like, the moon was covered by the clouds and you almost couldn't see in front of your face. Thankfully, Matt brought a flashlight and then we headed into the woods. I swear, every shadow and noise that I heard, I thought it was some kind of killer hiding behind a tree. But when we maybe had been walking in the woods for about 5 minutes, we finally stumbled upon this clearing. There was this shabby looking tent, food wrappers and chicken bones everywhere. Matt said this is where the homeless man lives. I remember thinking how sad that this was that a human being was out here like this. We started walking around the clearing and studying all the man's possessions. We were about to open up the tent to see if the man was in there sleeping when we heard this angry yell from behind us. I had just enough time to turn around and see this man full on sprinting out from behind some trees. It happened so fast that I couldn't even react. The man tackled my cousin Matt to the ground, and they started fighting. The man was obviously much bigger than Matt, and I could quickly see that my cousin was losing this fight. I quickly found this large stick on the ground and hit the man as hard as I could. For a second, he looked off Matt and looked at me. That was our only chance, and we took it. Matt had dropped the flashlight in the scuffle, but we didn't care. We just started running back to the house through the dark woods. All the while we were running, we could hear this angry man yelling from behind us and trying to chase us. Thankfully, we were able to put enough distance between us and the man, and we made it back to Matt's house. We quickly, but quietly snuck back into the house, locked the back door, and made our way back up into the room. When we finally knew that we were safe, we just collapsed with relief and joy. Matt swore me to secrecy never to tell my parents or his parents what happened. In fact, to this day, Matt and I still talk about that sleepover night when we're at family parties or gatherings, but we still keep it to ourselves. I'm now 24, and I realized how much of an asshole we both were to go and invade someone's private space like that. I don't want anyone to think I haven't shamed myself for what I've done. But still, seeing and hearing that homeless man's screams of anger ring out in the dark woods was hands down one of the most terrifying moments of my life. Don't be an asshole like I was. Thanks for listening.